Hello and welcome to our webinar. The topic today is video recommendations made easy with Axinom Mosaic and Recombee. We see the first guests arriving. Let's give a couple of seconds, half a minute to join for other people. Okay, many more people here now. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the webinar Video Recommendations Made Easy with Axinom Mosaic and Recombee. I'm Grigory Grin, Chief Developer Advocate at Axinom. With me.
Hi, I'm Ondrej and I'm a Chief Product Officer in Recombee.
Yes, great. So a brief agenda for today. We are going after a short introduction. We give you a short presentation of both products, what is Axinom Mosaic and what is Recombee. And then the most of our webinar will be about our integration, how we connect both products together to get video recommendations. You will see the flexibility of both products and how well they complement each other. Questions you can ask anytime in the Q&A section in the webinar. But I'm not sure we will have time at the end. We will come back to you with the answers individually anyway. We estimate the whole webinar to take 45 to 60 minutes. And we will absolutely share the recording, so you don't need to make screenshots along the way. And we are ready to start. Okay, so what is Axinom and what is Recombee? Let me share the first screen. And let's start with Axinom. Axinom is a software development company founded in 2001. We have offices in Germany, in Estonia, and in Sri Lanka, in Colombo. From the beginning, we were focused on helping developers and building backend solutions for all kinds of applications. Our focus from early years was already on content management, and then we quickly progressed to OTT or all kinds of video processing solutions. At some time, we entered also a very specific, interesting market of in-flight entertainment, working with major airlines and integrators. Also for OTT, we work with many well-known brands like Sky, Peacock, Z Entertainment, Second German Television, and many more. And from about 2019, our main product is Axinom Mosaic, which is on the modern development stack and helps developer build backends. And that I will explain a bit later. Ondrej, would you present Recombee?
Recombee develops a recommender engine as a service. We provide an API by which you can get personalized recommendations and full text search results. We have been on the market for almost 9 years. It all started with a group of teachers at the Czech Technical University who were teaching machine learning and wanted to see how these algorithms will work in the real life. And it turned out to work pretty well. And thanks to this, we have through the years acquired many interesting brands from different domains. The most important ones are customers from the video, also from the music industry, news, real estate, or deal aggregators. And thanks to our academic background, we are still very strong in the algorithms. And we also have a very good research team, so we participate often in conferences such as RECIS.
Okay. Then move on to our products. So you have a basic idea of what they are, so we can proceed to integrations. Mosaic is a platform for building services. It's a microservice-oriented platform. On the slide, you see how Mosaic applies to the media industry. So you see all these blue hexagons, they represent individual services. You see we group them in several groups. One is content management, where editors prepare the content in context of videos. It's metadata about the movies, TV shows, translating to different languages, adding images, assigning the movies, the video streams. For the video streams, we have specific services. We are strong on DRM and encoding area. And once the data is prepared, it is published, and we have a second cluster of services. We call them front-end facing services. They deliver content to the front-end applications. It means they expect high load and high security requirements and built in a specific way to handle all this. You see, there are two different blues in the hexagons. It's not random. The dark blue services are managed services or SaaS offerings. They are ready and provide API for you to use. The light blue services, we call them customizable, and we deliver them as a source code. And we deliver the source code under open source license. So you can take these templates, you can run them as they are, but you are also free to modify them or even develop completely different services starting from these templates. And later you will see how you can tweak the code to adjust to, for example, the integration needs. And all the green boxes here you see around, they represent various integration cases. Those components we do not provide as a part of Mosaic, but we integrate with third-party components. And here you see the recommendation agent box, which where, for example, products from Recombee can be used, and we will be showing this integration today. And let's, okay, the slide shows a few technologies we set on in Mosaic, but I will not go deeper at the moment. And Ondrej, please say a few words about Recombee.
Sure. So why companies choose to use Recombee? Most often they are looking to improve some of the most important KPIs for them. So Recombee personalized recommendations increase the subscription rates. Also, in case of AVOD, help with the advertising revenues because the users watch more videos, and also they watch them longer, so we prolong the watch time, and in general we improve the loyalty to your site or service. And we have a couple of features that are specific for VOD and OTT. One very interesting is our capability to fully personalize the homepage, meaning not only providing the content to the individual rows, but also reordering the rows themselves in a personalized way. So each user will get different homepage when they come to your app. We also have support for the hierarchy of series, seasons, and episodes. And as we provide our service as a REST API, it's possible to get the recommendations in all your platforms, be it the desktop, the mobile, or some smart TVs.
And now, before it gets too dry, we would like to show a bit of the presentation of the UI of the products themselves. I hope it's visible now in my browser. Yeah, I will start with Mosaic. In Mosaic, we follow an API-first approach. So any functionality in any of the services is available through an API. But for some areas, of course, we have UIs. And this is now on the screen. It's an editor UI, which follows an interesting pattern called micro frontends. And this application called management system, you see here on the screen, it aggregates multiple micro frontends. So each service basically can offer its own micro frontend. So here, what you see on the screen are many applications. A video service offers its own micro frontend, and the image service comes with its own. The media service provides these 4 tiles at the top, and all those services are developed independently, and they integrate only at runtime. They can also use each other snippets, you will see in a moment. So let me go somewhere on the movie explorer. Yeah, so this is just a collection of movies. You can filter it through different criteria. You can pick an item. You can describe an individual item. But here you see that's a cover image with some user experience, so some operations which can be executed here. This whole rectangle is populated with a front-end extension provided by the image service. So the media service knows nothing about this image except the ID. So it just says, please include here a component from the image service, and the image service handles this. And from here, you can navigate further through the workflow to add translations, licensing conditions, assign videos, etc. And maybe to go here and to show that we also have the hierarchy of assets. These are, for example, TV shows, but you can go inside and see the multiple seasons included and go further down and see the episodes and so on. The properties of these items, such as licensing conditions, they can be on each object of the hierarchy, but you can also implement some inheritance rules so that they nest from the root node. Yeah, I can show a lot, but we don't have much time, so I would rather pass to Ondrej to present Recombee.
Thank you, Grigory. I will start by sharing our demo application in which you can see what can be what can you get from Recombee? As you see, I'm currently in the incognito mode of this demo app. The system knows nothing about me. I'm a completely new user of this demo VOD platform, and therefore it shows me some content which is trending now, or which has been recently released. However, when I start interacting with the platform, I of course get some related videos, and also an information has been sent to Recombee, and that is that I have visited this movie. And Recombee, as it is a real-time system, can immediately take this into consideration. So when I go back to the homepage, you can see that the content on the homepage, the user experience has completely changed. I have now here something that should be of interest for me, and I have, for example, also some like animated movies for me. And if I will interact more and more with the platforms, the recommendations will get more and more precise. So this is what you can get after you follow the steps that we will show you in the rest of this webinar.
Thank you. Now let's go back to the PowerPoint. And indeed, let's look in the integration of the two systems. Ondrej, what would Recombee need to work properly?
Of course, for all this magic, we need data. And the two most important kinds of data are the catalog, meaning items catalog and users catalog, and the interactions. So first, let's look into the catalog. We need item properties that describe the individual videos. Information such as title, the genre, actors, date of release, some age restrictions or licensing information. Basically everything that you have in Mosaic needs to also go to Recombee so we can process this information. Similarly, you can also give us some additional information about the users, most importantly, whether the user is a subscriber, if you have such, whether we can show some premium content, and also whether it's a kid or an adult. These were the item and user properties, and even more important are the interactions. And this is the behavioral data, basically everything that the user does in the platform. For example, very important are view portions, meaning how much of a video the user has watched, or for example, some ratings, meaning likes or dislikes, for example, when the user explicitly say whether he or she liked the video. And all this information, the items catalog, the interactions, they go to Recombee, and we then applied many different algorithms to them, starting from some collaborative filtering algorithms to content-based algorithms, reinforcement learning, to come up with the final recommendations for each user. And now let's look basically on the same schema, just a little bit more technical. So now it shows how the data that you already have in Mosaic can go to Recombee. As I mentioned, Recombee provides a REST API, and we also have various SDKs for various programming languages to make the integration easy. Some of the operations, for example, changing the catalog, can be done only from the server side using the private token. However, some of the other operations, for example, getting recommendations or sending the interactions, can also be done using a public token directly from the front-end applications. And besides the API for the items catalog, we also provide the feeds processing. And now Grigory will show you how this connects to Axinom Mosaic.
Yes, let's take a slightly different view on exactly the same topic. This is a component diagram we came up with. Here you see on the top the Mosaic component. It's a subset of Mosaic components relevant for our scenario today. Bottom part is Recombee, and in between this connector, so we assume you are developing a connector between your Mosaic instance and your Recombee instance. So what you will need, or what you have from Mosaic already on the management services side, let's take the media service, where the metadata of the movies, TV shows, and others are maintained, and the image service you will need for cover images and others, video service for the real video feeds, and localization in case you have metadata available in multiple languages. And then this data is published across to the front-end facing services, from which we now take three. There is a catalog service, which exposes the catalog to the front end. And there are a user service and personalization service. They work closely together. The user service is responsible for user identity and authentication, while personalization service is storing all kinds of user-related data, user profile, user ratings, bookmarks. So what Recombee calls interactions will go there and is available from there. Yeah, so we will show how to get data from Mosaic, feed it into Recombee, and then how to get recommendations from Recombee and where and how to display them. And we do it step by step, starting with the items catalog.
So for the items catalog, there are the two integration options. First is the catalog feed. We process the many flavors of catalog feeds. It can be like XML, CSV, and Grigory will show you how to do this with the JSON feed. Or the other option is to use the API and SDK of your choice to send the data directly to the endpoint of our API.
Sure. So let's look at the catalog feed first. You already have this kind of feed in Mosaic. The catalog service exposes through a GraphQL interface various query possibilities where you can get a JSON with all the needed metadata. So here you see a simplest GraphQL query to get all movies with a few properties. And on the right side, a corresponding JSON, which you get if you run this query. Of course, you can customize it and extend to your needs to add the specific fields or add filters, maybe not all movies, but movies, latest movies, fulfilling specific criteria, etc. These fields, which the feed exposes, should be mapped to Recombee fields. This Ondrej will show later. What I wanted to show, to explain, that the feed is exposed here through GraphQL. In Recombee, you can put a URL to a certain endpoint, and the GET request will be executed. So it's not directly GraphQL. So what you need at the moment is a simple adapter with this red box representing this adapter, which accepts the GET request and sends the corresponding GraphQL query to the GraphQL endpoint. The result, you don't even need to touch, you just pass through this result back to Recombee, and that's already it.
And this is the next step, setting the feed in the Recombee Admin UI. So basically, it's about putting there the URL and telling Recombee where the items, meaning the individual videos or information about videos, is located in the feed. And when you do this step, then the second step is to pick from the feed the individual fields for each video that you want to synchronize to Recombee. You can see that as we analyze the structure of the JSON, you get some list of the available data from in the feed, and you can just pick what you want to synchronize and what is the data type of each field, and then you just apply the settings, and we automatically fetch and process the feed, so your items catalog is always up to date.
Maybe we need to add here that even when you map the fields can be added on both sides. If you have some custom fields, you can extend Recombee with your custom fields, and equally you can add new fields to Axinom Mosaic services, to the media service and catalog. They are both customizable, so you can easily extend the data model. Yeah, and this will be in Recombee after the catalog is pulled.
Exactly.
Then let's look at the second option. Well, we provide options. It's up to you what to choose for your scenario. The first was a pull catalog from Recombee point of view. This would be push the data into Recombee. This connector for Recombee would send the data to Recombee, but for that you need to get access to the Mosaic data. One possibility is to use that same GraphQL API, which we already looked at, so I will skip this. The other interesting possibility is through RabbitMQ. So we have a message broker, RabbitMQ, which is used for communication through across all services. So all services can send commands to each other or emit events, and other services are free to subscribe and react on events. For example, the media service, when you publish an item from the UI, it will emit a movie published event, and then any service can subscribe. The catalog service already subscribes to this event and updates its own data structures, and from that moment on, starts serving the data to the front end. So what we can do here, we can add another subscription to that same event, get data of this event, so of the published movie, and send the data to Recombee. So how we would do it? This is the simplified version of the code. It is using a library called Rascal. So it's one abstraction on top of RabbitMQ. It helps to communicate with the queues. So you create a broker instance, and here with the 3 dots, there is a lot of configuration for your virtual hosts and queues and events you need. But once you did this, you just create a subscription for the event called movie published. And then when you receive this message, you run the function, this function, it gets the content, which is initially a string, a JSON string, and you cast this content, the payload of the content, to the type movie published event. It is strongly typed. Yeah? This type is already available as a part of the media service. When you have a media service, you compile it, you get this library automatically, and then you can use the types defined there. So instead of parsing a string or parsing your JSON and hoping the fields are there, you can use typing system of TypeScript to get access to the data. And then once you have the attributes, you send them to Recombee.
And before that, you will define what properties will be synchronized. So, for example, you will add the title and you will say that it is of type string, or you will add release date and you will say that it's a timestamp, etc. So this is what can be done very easily in the admin UI. And when you have basically the columns of the database specified, you can start filling them using the API. And this is how it looks like. So basically, you initialize the API client using the ID of your database in Recombee, put there the associated secret token, and then you can start requesting the API. In this case, with the set item values request, this updates the properties of one single video of a particular item ID with the data, which is the second parameter. And you can see that it's basically an object that contains the previously defined properties. So for example, you can set the title, description, basically everything that you have defined in the previous step. And the last parameter, the cascade create, it says to Recombee to also create the item if it does not exist yet in the catalog. And it's worth mentioning that this is completely fine. Basically, if you take this code and just put it into the Grigory snippet from the previous slide, it will work. However, if you will go with the approach of getting all the data, all the catalog periodically from the GraphQL endpoint, it's advisable to send the set item values requests in batch request, because it will be much faster, as the batch can contain many different requests, and the processing is optimized.
Good. Once we have the items catalog, we can proceed to the users catalog, users data. A similar thing, we get data from Mosaic, we push data to Recombee. There is no feeds concept here. So we implement the pull logic to get data from Mosaic through the GraphQL APIs, and then use SDKs from Recombee to send the data to Recombee. On Mosaic side, we are now dealing with these two services, user service and personalization service. You see they offer two kind of APIs. This on the right side is front-end facing, but they also have management interfaces, so we can do all kind of processing of the data on the backend. And what we want here, we want to collect, grab the users with some of their data, and this we can do with GraphQL. For example, take the user properties like age, gender, country. So all what Ondrej has shown before, and then pass through to Recombee.
And this is done by a very similar endpoint, in this case, set user values. Yeah.
With a very similar structure. Okay, the last piece of data is interactions.
And it's the most important piece of data because really the behavior is what's driving the collaborative filtering algorithms, which are of the highest quality forward. So we will focus on three types of interactions. First are the view portions, which is the watching progress. So you can send to Recombee that a user has watched a certain movie to, for example, 75%, or that a user has the video fully. You can also send us ratings. So basically anything from some star ratings to likes or dislikes, and also bookmarks. So for example, it can be something like watch later in your front end. Recombee provides also some other interactions, in our API. However, these three are already in the Axinom Mosaic, and just using these three, you can get really good personalization. So we will now focus on these three types of interactions.
Yes, so if you build a solution based on Mosaic, you very likely will use the personalization service to collect all these kind of interactions. So the front end is already sending this kind of data to the personalization service, and it is stored server side. We're talking about user data. In fact, you can have multiple profiles per user and then store data individually to each profile, but these are details. I'm indicating here two interfaces. There is a slight distinction between a simple data API where frontend can send any key value pairs and the progress API, which is specific for the view portions. So when the user is watching a video, it can periodically send the current watch position, watch progress. And frontends can do it very often, like every 5 seconds to send an update. And that results with thousands of users in a flood of events reaching the server side. So the server needs special handling of this data flood to not to die. And this is implemented in the progress API. Once the data arrives in the database, it is accessible through the unified GraphQL API, same which we already explored before. So here you would write some code in your connector, accessing the GraphQL, putting queries which you need. You can filter the latest events using some timestamp logic. And then once you have the data, you push it through to Recombee, like this.
Yes, you will do it with these three endpoints. So each endpoint tell who the user ID watches which content, meaning item ID. So these are the parameters of the ad bookmark. However, the ad rating has also one additional parameter, and it's the value of the rating. It can be from the absolutely negative, dislike, -1, to absolutely positive rating of 1. And in case of the set view portion, the watching progress, there's the portion, meaning the percentage that has already been watched. You can send this endpoint many times, and we will every time update the portion on our site to match the new value to which the user has watched the movie.
Mm-hmm. And how often you do this depends on the balance, on the trade-off you want to reach, between how up-to-date the data is, so how live the recommendations will be, and how much load and traffic you have.
We, of course, like the data as live as possible.
Absolutely. Good. And now after we have done all this hard work, pushing a lot of data to Recombee, now we want results, namely the recommendations.
Yes, we are finally here. Recombee offers various endpoints for getting the recommendations and the search results. The most often used in VOD are the recommend items to user endpoint, which can be used to a lot of the homepage rows. So, for example, the classic just for you row, but it can be also something about trending content in your country, or for example new releases that can be attractive for the particular user, or it can be some personalized reordering of the editorial picked content. This endpoint can be also used in emailing campaigns, or basically anything that is specific to the one particular user. The next endpoint, recommend items to item, is good for example, related videos, or watch next video. So what should be watched after I have completed this video, or for example, because you watched this movie, you maybe you will like to see these new videos. And we also do search items endpoint with the personalized full text search. And quite specific to Recombee is the next endpoint, recommend item segment to user. So what item segment means? It's a group of items basically that you can define, and it can be used in many use cases. For example, you can recommend the user's favorite genres, or you can recommend the ordering of the rows on the homepage. So as you can see on the right side, the comedies fan can have the short laughs row as the first one, while somebody who is into thrillers will have the thrillers row as the top one. So the user will immediately have the right content at the user's fingertips when the user opens your app.
And now a very interesting question: from where should you pull the recommendations? And you can do it both client-side and server-side. So you can add the client-side logic to your front-end application, talking to Recombee, and then rendering the results. In this case, the front-end is responsible for merging the results it gets from the backend, from the catalog service, personalization service, and from Recombee, and decide what is the best representation. Or you can decide to go for full server-side integration. Then you modify the catalog service, so it's not only reading from its database, but you can let it query recommendations from Recombee and then merge it with all the other data and apply all the business rules on the server before the end resulting data set is delivered to the front end. The choice depends on how exactly you develop front end and back end, what is in your hand, what is easier to modify, and how much do you want to enforce on the server side, how much will be client side.
And this is how the requesting recommendations look like. So this is the example for recommend items to user. So you, with the parameter, specify the user ID to who you are recommending, how many of the videos recommended you want to get, and then you can also specify optional parameters. The return properties says that you want us to return not only the IDs of the recommended content, but also all the metadata that you have sent us previously. For example, the title, the URL of the image, etc., which you can then easily use to render the videos in your application. And the second parameter is very important, the scenario. The scenario specifies the place where you show the recommendations. So for example, it can be the name of the row. And to each scenario, you can then specify various settings about how the recommendations should behave in the Recombee Admin UI, which we will show at the very end of this webinar. This is the example of the response. You can see as the return properties was set to true, we also return the title here and other properties.
And this is the architecture. If you decide for server side for getting recommendations, you would extend the catalog service with a bit of code talking to Recombee using the examples which you just had on the screen. And then you merge these results with the catalog service data and deliver it to the front end in an aggregated fashion. The catalog service, you remember this discussion on managed services and customizable services. The catalog service is customizable. You do have the full source code, so you can fully control what you do and you can extend it in any way you like. So let's look at the Recombee admin interface on how you configure the scenarios, right?
Exactly. The admin UI has many capabilities. You can see various statistics about how the recommendations perform and etc. However, let's go now to the most interesting part, and that's the scenario section, where you can, for each of the scenarios set up basically the behavior of the recommendations. So when I open one of the scenarios that I have here, you can see that I can specify logic. Logic is basically the name of an ensemble of the models that will be applied to this particular place. So in this case, we have the video personal logic set for the top for you row on the homepage. However, you can also choose from other logics. For example, the video popular logic, which shows the most popular videos on your platform during a particular period. And you can also, for example, say to just take into account the interactions from the user's country, making it, for example, top videos in your country in last 7 days. So this was the logic, and then we can go to filters. The filters say what are the candidates that can be recommended. So you can handle here, for example, the licensing and etc. You can pick the rules from this library. So, for example, we can put here recent items filter, allowing only the videos that have been released in the last 7 days to be recommended. However, you can really create any rules that you need. For example, just recommend your original content, or just recommend content from particular genres, and etc. Thanks to our Recombee language, I will give just one very simple example of a Recombee filter. This is a filter that allows only action movies to be recommended. However, the rules can be much more complex, and you can really create very custom rows for your homepage. Then we have here also boosters. With boosters, you can bias the recommender engine towards your particular goals. So you can tell the recommender engine to recommend something more. So, for example, again, you can push your original content, or you can push the content in the user's language, or if your team has somehow scored the items or picked some of the items as being more important, you can boost these items in the recommendations so they get better. They are seen by more users, which you can then check in the analytics sections. So this was just very brief presentation of what you can do in the Recombee Admin UI.
It's amazing. But with that, we are coming to the end of our presentation. We also wanted to show possible further directions, how you can even improve the integration.
So,
Or,
for example, you can send us even more interactions. For example, when a user just opens a detail of a movie, that can be another interaction that we can definitely take into consideration. As Grigory mentioned, there is the support for the series, season, and episode hierarchy in Axinom, and it's also in the Recombee. So you can again, by connecting these APIs, you can send us this information too. And you can definitely add many more scenarios. So basically, by putting there the filters, the boosters, picking the logics, or even constraints that we have not mentioned, you can really tailor each of the places where you show content on your site to be really personalized and entertaining for your users.
Yeah, and to conclude, to the initial topic, how you build a system for video recommendations. You can take Mosaic, which is a broad platform for building backends, very extensible and customizable. And you have Recombee, which is a very focused and powerful tool for recommendations. And hopefully we could convince you that the integration is quite easy. So go ahead and try it out. And we say thank you for being with us today. If you ask questions, we will come back to you and answer.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.